I've been wanting to have him on Inside Athletics for a very long time. It's my pleasure to welcome my former traveling roommate, Alan Johnson, several times indoor world champion, Olympic champion, outdoor champion. Alan, welcome to the program.
Well, thank you for having me.
So since you retired, you've become a civilian like me. I remember Boris Becker saying to me last year in Doha that every athlete has to sort of die. The athlete part of you has to die so that the other part of you can be reborn. So tell me what your athlete death was like.
Oh man, it wasn't that bad actually. I mean, it's different. I think for me the hardest thing in coaching is understanding that the athletes that I coach can't do what I did.
Right.
You know, it's very easy as a former athlete. You stand out there on the track, you're coaching, and you say, "Oh, just do it this way,
Right.
like this." Boom, boom.
They don't have that ability.
All right, you have to understand that you were pretty good. I was pretty good at what I did,
Yeah.
and not everybody can do what I did. So, you know, I had to kind of come down a little bit and learn how to explain things.
Now you say that your transition, your death, was not too bad. And that's probably because you stayed around maybe a little longer than some of your fans, certainly me, would have liked to see you stick around. Why did you stick around quite that long in your career?
Oh, I definitely stayed around too long. I mean, that was always my plan from day one, was to stay around too long. And the reason for that is because for me to stay around too long, then I knew it was really time for me to quit. You know, I didn't want to leave a minute too early, just in case there was still something in there. But I stayed around because I loved it. I mean, if I was physically able to run now, I would still be out there running at 43 years old. I mean, it's like going outside to play. And I loved it. There was nothing else in the world that I'd rather be doing. So I stuck around until they drug me off the track.
You had quite a long career in an event where a lot of times people don't stick around very long. What do you see as the secret why your career was able to be so good for so long?
I think the thing that helped me stay around for a long time was, besides the fact that I was having a great time doing it, I did the same thing over and over again. And I always made sure that I was able to run events like the 400 meters. And I think that gave me a lot of extra in the tank. You know, I would go to all-comers meets and I'd run the 4x1, I'd run the 4x4, I'd run the 200. So I think that really helped me, so that later on in my career, when I actually started to slow down, my capacity for work started to diminish. I think I started from such a higher level that doing just the hurdles towards the end of my career was something that was still at a fairly high level.
People who don't pay attention may overlook the fact that you actually have a 4x4 World Championship gold medal. Why is it that we see so few hurdlers of today running other events? You were also in the 200 with me at the Goodwill Games back in 1998. Why is it that we see so few athletes, hurdlers of today, running other events like the 400 and the 200?
Well, I think that especially in the U.S. and at the high school level, so many athletes are specializing early, and athletes feel like they need to focus on one singular event to be good at it. And I don't think that a lot of athletes see the importance of going outside their event and becoming more of a well-rounded athlete instead of just a great hurdler or just a 100-meter runner. I mean, I even at the college level, you see athletes who only run the 100
Right.
and don't run the 100 and 200 meters. And I sit back and say, what in the world is going on?
New school.
How do you run the 100 and not run the 200?
Right.
Those are like peanut butter and jelly.
Right.
They go together.
Right. I had a conversation recently with the legendary coach, Brooks Johnson, and he was explaining to me that your event, the 110 hurdles, is not just about speed. In fact, very little of it is just about the speed. It's about the rhythm. Explain to me what that means, because it makes no sense to me where an event which is timed is an event that's so based on, as he says, rhythm.
Well, you have the hurdles is about rhythm and also quickness.
Okay.
And I say quickness because, with the exception of some people running 7 steps to the first hurdle and some people running 8 steps to the first hurdle, once you get to that first hurdle, everybody takes the same amount of steps from the first hurdle all the way to the finish line.
Hmm.
So the variance in the race is only 1 step
Wow.
for everyone. So it's about quickness, and where the rhythm comes in is whether your rhythm is fast or slow, and because you have those hurdles that are there and they're all 30 feet apart, you don't really have any space to really accelerate,
Right.
but you can decelerate.
Huh.
So whoever can get in their rhythm and maintain that rhythm is going to win the race. It's like a dance, and you can't get off beat.
I like that. Now, being that you had such a long career, are there any regrets that you had in your career that maybe you look back now and say, you know what, I should have done this, or maybe I'd have done that differently?
I think my biggest career regret is that I never broke the world record,
Okay.
because I feel like that's something I was definitely capable of. But for one reason or another, lack of focus, I didn't do it. But also, I'd say the fact that I only have one Olympic medal, period, that's a regret. I think even in that, my biggest regret is probably in Sydney in the Olympic final. I remember, lining up. The gun goes off. I get out. I'm racing with Garcia, and then I get to the point where I realize, okay, I'm not going to beat him. I'm not going to win. I had a letdown. And the next thing I remember is Terrence pulling up beside me, Terrence Trammell,
Mm-hmm.
and then he pulls in front of me, and I go, oh no, I'm going to get the bronze medal. This is not even worth it. Cross the finish line, sulking because I got the bronze medal. I look up at the scoreboard, and I'm 4th.
Yeah, fourth.
And-
Go ahead.
And I feel like if I would have just run all the way to the finish line, then I would have gotten the bronze medal.
So that's a regret.
So that's probably the biggest regret, the biggest singular moment that if I could have back, that I would change.
Your personal best was 12.92. The world record now by Aries Merritt is 12.80. I want to know, first of all, where you were when you heard about the new world record. And did you look at that world record and feel like, you know what, maybe in an ideal world, I would have been able to run quite that fast?
Yeah, I did. Actually, for me, my ultimate perfect race was 12:78.
Wow.
That's what I had in my head, 12:78. Where I was when I found out about the 1280, I was in my kitchen, and my phone goes off. It's from a friend of ours,
Right.
and it just goes, wow, did you see that? And I knew that Aries was, he'd been running 1292, 1293, 1292 all season long.
Right.
And I knew Brussels was that day. I see the text, says, wow, did you see that? I'll check the time. And I'm like, it must be the hurdle race. What happened? So I'm shaking. I get online. I can't get online fast enough. And I look, and I'm like, 1280? I'm like, no, that's 1288. That's 1286. It's not really 1280. It's 1280. I was like, man, how did he do it? And then I went back and, got on the internet and watched it, and he ran a great race. I mean, the hardest thing in the hurdles and trying to run fast is being too close to the hurdles. And in watching that race, the thing that enabled, in my opinion, the thing that enabled Aries to run that fast was the fact that because he took 7 steps, he was able to take off far enough away from the first hurdle, which meant each subsequent hurdle, even if his takeoff point got closer as he got later in the race than that first hurdle, he was still far enough away that he could continue to carry his momentum through the hurdle while he was in flight.
Now, you have a daughter who is competing in track and field at your alma mater, the University of North Carolina. Tell me how she's doing, and do you see her following in your professional athlete footsteps?
You know what? I mean, as a parent whose child is doing the same sport that I did, of course I'd like to see her go pro.
Mhm.
I mean, I'd like to see that. But more importantly, I want to see her enjoy it and have fun, and for me to sit back as a parent and just watch it, maybe brag a little bit.
So, because you have a daughter competing in the sport that you were so proficient in, is it difficult to sit on the sidelines and not be a stage dad, not to give her advice, not to sort of try to supersede what her own coach is telling her? Or are you able to just sit on the sidelines and not become that stage dad and become active in her career?
It's somewhat difficult to sit back because as a coach and somebody who's involved in track and field, and my daughter's doing track and field, you know, I see some technical things, and it's easy for me to sit back and say, why doesn't the coach see that? Why doesn't the coach fix that? But then, because I am a coach, I also understand that no one coach is going to fix everything about an athlete, and you can grab any athlete in the world and find something wrong with them, or find something that the coach can do better. So, you know, I just sit back and I watch, and you know, she knows everything that I know because I've told her.
Right.
So, you know, it's what she does is between her and her coach. So I just sit back and I watch and I cheer. I'm happy when she's happy. I'm disappointed when she doesn't do well. And I just wish her all the best. And
Thanks for coming on the show. Good to have a chat with you.
well, thank you.
All right.
All right, man.